Well, here we are at Angel's Landing in Zion National Park. Because this trail is so exceptional, I decided to do a whole video just on the trail and do a separate one for the Zion National Park. When you see these yellow signs at the entrance of a trail, it's best not to ignore them. The access to this trail is at Grotto Station. Now, if you're taking the shuttle, it is the 6th stop. And if you're coming by car, try to come early because the parking is really limited. The beginning of this trail is relatively flat as you're going to be following the Virgin River. Now, this is the first series of switchbacks, and this is where the ascent begins. This portion of the video was filmed on February 20th, 2022, and it was the first weekend that the shuttle was in operation, so there was quite a bit of people. And when the shuttles are in operation, you cannot take your car. You're going to find plenty of free parking right beside the shuttle area. And in our case, the wait to take the shuttle was not an issue. It's important to note that permits are now required to do Angel's Landing, so you got to plan ahead. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the details of the planning a little further in this video. Right here, you've reached the section of the trail that's called Refrigerator Canyon. It's the perfect spot to enjoy a little break between the two switchbacks. You're usually going to get some breeze. It's often in the shade, and this spot is relatively flat. Right after Refrigerator Canyon, you'll reach the famous Walter's Wiggles. It's really a playful name to downplay the difficulty of this section, and it also makes reference to Walter Ruesch, who came up with this idea back in 1926 when he was superintendent of the park. Now get ready for 21 narrow, short, and pretty steep switchbacks. These were carved on the north side of the cliff of this mountain. Now keep an eye for ice patches, as it takes a while for the sun to get there. Once you reach the top of Walter Wiggles, it's the first time that you're actually going to see the full view of Angel's Landing. And it's also a place where you reach another observation point called Scout Lookout. When we reached that top at Scout Lookout, we were so blown away by the view that we were sure we had made it to the top of Angel's Landing until we looked up. From there is where the chain section begins, and as you can see, there was quite a crowd that day. Now, keep in mind that you share the same trail whether you're going up or down, and it gets a little tricky when you meet another group going the opposite direction, especially in the chain sections. As far as distances and elevation gains, if you stop at Scout Lookout, the round trip is 3.6 miles with a net elevation gain of 1,100 feet. To go all the way up to Angel's Landing, you have to add a total of 1 mile, that's to and from, and another 400 feet of elevation gain. This part of the video was taken maybe 2 weeks later. This was my second attempt in doing Angel's Landing. The first time around, there was way too many people, and I really didn't know what I was getting into, so I felt it was much safer to turn back around. However, after looking into it and realizing that the curve of the ascent is really not as steep as what it looks like from here, from the road below, you really see the natural curve, and it's much softer. By then, however, we had left Zion National Park and headed to Bryce National Park. However, the cold weather forced us to go back south, and I took advantage of this time to finally do Angel's Landing, because after all, it's Angel's Landing. Now, so much is being said about the dangers of this trail. Just look at the YouTube headlines, and it reads something like terrifying experience. Do not attempt this trail. One of America's most dangerous trail. or America's most deadly hike. I'll try to put things in perspectives, mainly talking about statistics. First, yes, there has been 17 confirmed deaths on this trail in 21 years. But keep in mind that there's an average of 300,000 people that attempt this trail every year. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the dangers were way overrated as far as what I had read. I am 60 years old. Yes, I am a hiker. I did this solo. There was some patches of ice, and yes, I was very careful. And there's a lot of technical sections on this trail, meaning that there's a lot of rocks and it's not very level. I'd say you'd have to be in good physical shape. It is not a trail for children. If you have fear of heights, you should avoid this trail. And if you don't feel comfortable, turn around. If you'd like to have more details about the incidents on this trail and in Zion National Park, there's this book called Death and Rescues in Zion National Park, written by the veteran Dave Nally and Bo Beck. You might want to check that out. I've talked about it a bit earlier, but after Scout Lookout, it's pretty much a single lane trail from that point on. So when you meet another group, which you will, you might have to work together.
Hold on nice and tight, okay? I'm going to cross over you.
Okay, that's it. You're good. Just don't knock me over.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm slowly starting to realize that everybody is wearing spikes. I'm not.
We're on the ice part, so we're gonna...
Yep.
Okay.
Slide.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enjoy your hike.
Here on up.
Yes, there's bad spots. We didn't make it because we didn't bring...
Good. I wish they would have brought those. I never thought of it. Who would have thought I would have needed those things? I'm very drunk about that. I am glad I brought my mittens and my hat though.
That's it. I'll grab you if need be.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Nice rock. Good rock
Thank
there.
you.
You feel good there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're an angel. Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
I'll get here.
If you guys can take a pause so that they can keep coming up.
I think I'm the only one for a little while, so I don't mind.
Okay, that's perfect. I mean, they can let you go up pretty quick and easy then.
Is that the last patch of ice here?
No, there's a much worse pass just up above this, but after you get past that, then yeah, there's nothing left. So just take it slow.
Yep, that portion got a little hairy at times, but look at the view. I hate to admit, but I was under-equipped at that point. The worst part is that I had the spikes in the car, but since I didn't pay attention to the sign right at the beginning of the trail that said, "Watch out for icy conditions," it never dawned on me that there could be ice at the top. Now, note to self, in February, keep them in your day pack. They weigh nothing. This was the last portion that the guy was talking about earlier where it was all in ice. So the safest way I found was to do it on all four, so it's really not what you look like. It's safety comes first. So I felt okay doing it that way.
Wasted money on cures. Forgot how to fix myself. They say that time is free. Then why is it so precious? Oh, I'll save memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead.
And this is why you did all this. Now keep an eye on the chipmunks. They're very well aware that you're going to be looking everywhere except on your sandwich. because the minute that you let it go for a second, for some reason, they know it and they're going to grab it.
Lately I've lost my track. I've sailed the deeper seas, hoping to find something to bring back better times. Oh, I'll save memories in my head.
All right, so what goes up must now come down. So the patches of ice that we met on the way up are going to have to be dealt with on the way down. Now at this point you can still feel some adrenaline, which is really a good thing. It makes you focus on every step you're taking to make sure that you're holding on to something before you move on to something else. It really turned out fine.
Time is running out. Time is running out. What if my best days are
The last point that I wanted to talk about are the permits. They are now required in order to do this trail. Now, I think it's important to note that they are only required after Scout Outlook. You have two options to obtain your permits. There is seasonal lottery and there is day before lottery. For seasonal lottery, it opens the first of every month, 2 months in advance. For the day before lottery, it opens at 12:01 a.m. Mountain Time and remains open until 3 p.m. Mountain Time. That would be the day before the intended hike. If you're part of the lucky ones and you are granted your permit, National Park Services will advise you at 4 p.m., always Mountain Time. And for the fees, there is a $6 non-refundable fee when you apply, and if you are granted the permit, then there's an additional $3 per person.
Why is it so precious? Oh, I'll save memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead.
This pretty much covers my journey on Angel's Landing. I'm going to do another video on Zion National Park, but I really thought that Angel's Landing deserved a video all by itself.